wonderful session, a webinar on college applications made easy. First, a little quick background about PanIIT USA. PanIIT USA is a national organization, and we do several things. We have a wonderful mega conference every couple of years. The next one is in LA, and in 2026. Hopefully, you all can join it. We support 20 plus chapters across the USA. We provide clubs and services for IITians and their families, and we have several of those. And we do webinars and interactive classes. My name is Amitav Raturi. I live in Cincinnati, and I coordinate the clubs and services for IITians for PanIIT USA. How do you join PanIIT USA? Well, the simplest way is to go to our website. If you do a Google search, you'll find us very easily, or you can join us on LinkedIn. And then you'll see a lot of various options that you have for volunteering for PanIIT USA. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Rajesh Radhakrishnan from Michigan. Rajesh predates me in PanIIT USA by decades. He has done over 20 years of service for PanIIT USA, and in Michigan, he also coordinates programs for the local students for high school counseling. Rajesh will be our coordinator for the evening. Rajesh, over to you.
Thank you, Amitabh-ji. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar on college counseling. This is a topic near and dear to many of us here in the PanIIT organization because it's a significant part of the family value creation that we aim to provide through our alumni services. In our PanIIT, as well as our chapter activities, we do several activities that are related to the direct professional enhancement, improvement, and networking of the IIT alumni. But we also, in all our events, particularly at the chapter level and at the regional level, try to bring in the families and keep a welcome, open environment. And this is, I believe, the third of the college counseling series we've done at the national or the chapter level. My name is Rajesh Radhakrishnan. I'm an alumnus of IIT Bombay. I professionally am a former vice president of strategy and marketing at Larsen & Toubro and Eaton Corporation in the automotive industry. I currently run a venture capital firm. I've been based out of Detroit, Michigan, 12 years. And I'm very proud to say that we have a robust Michigan chapter that has over 350 alumni, and to be part of this wonderful PanIIT national organization. As part of this college counseling series today, I have great pleasure in bringing to you a former colleague, a former president of PanIIT National, a board member of PanIIT USA, Sundi Srinivasan. Sundi is an alumnus of IIT Delhi, a few years senior to me, I understand, a 30-year professional in the oil and gas industry at large corporations like Schlumberger and BP, and most recently has been running as Chief Operating Officer and an engineering services company in the oil and gas industry also. Sundi is based out of Houston, Texas, and today he is here because he is very passionate about helping young people with their college aspirations. And as I hear from many of my colleagues who've served with him on the board, he's a great friend, a great mentor, and a great guide for not only his peers, but the young people who are looking to build up on their careers. Without too much ado, I want to invite Sundi Srinivasan, but let me just do a couple of things as protocol for this webinar. We have a poll on just to quickly gauge whether which grade is your student in, and just kind of quickly fill it up for it'll be open for about 5 minutes. I'll feed that information into Sundi as he goes into his talk, as he opens up his talk. And the second thing I want to say is that put all your questions into the Q&A, please. We'll be monitoring, Amitabh and I will be monitoring the Q&A, and we will feed these in at the end of Sundi's talk. And once again, it's my pleasure to present Sundi Srinivasan from Houston, Texas, IIT Delhi, 1984. It's yours, Sundi.
Rajesh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you also to all of you who are spending Sunday evening attending this webinar. From the very quick, immediate responses that you gave me from the poll, I'm sure Rajesh is going to feed us a little bit more. I can see there's a one-third split. So I'll keep the talk not focused on any one particular grade, but try to cover all the grades, okay? Now, one of the things with this college admissions process in the US is it's, for want of a better word, it's complex. There are a lot of various nuances and various tricks of the trade in order to be successful in, I guess, navigating this complex territory. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So what I thought I would do today is to give you guys a feeling. So those of you who are in 11th grade, about 30% of you guys would probably already have a good feeling as to what I'm going to talk about, but you'll still get a few gems. But this is going to be extremely useful for those of you who are 9th grade and 10th grade as you navigate what I'm going to call my roadmap of what you're looking forward to, maybe not necessarily looking forward to, but what you have to do in order to navigate this process of the college applications, okay? Good. So broadly speaking, you're looking at about 7 different blocks of activity. So imagine you're putting all these activities onto the first column on a spreadsheet, and across you have the various months. You know, it's July 2025, August 2025, and so on and so forth. You can perhaps, based on when you want to accomplish all these things, make yourselves a nice little roadmap, action plan, so that you can follow that neatly going forward, okay? So the first block of activities is what I call your objectives. This is often forgotten about when kids look at their applications, because most applications tend to be what I call bottom up. Hey, look, look, this is what I've done. This is my grades. Look what a brilliant SAT I got. Look, I've got all A's in this. Look at my APs. And here, by the way, I've taken part in this activity, that activity. I've also done this internship. This is all this great, grand stuff that I've done now. You figure out what's important to you, and please select me for your college. Your typical average student resumes are like that. Imagine now you turn this the other way around and make it top down. Give you an example. First, define what is it you want to be 10 years, 15 years down the road. Based off of that, you work down and say, okay, in order to get there, I have got to, as a short-term objective, to achieve my long-term objective, I have got to perhaps pursue an undergraduate degree in your college, perhaps followed by a master's. Then I get either some job experience and until I chase my dream. Give you an example. Imagine this application comes at you. I want to be working for the United Nations, shaping public policy of nations. Powerful, long-term objective, vision. By the way, in order to get there, I think I have to do an undergraduate degree in economics first, followed by a master's in government and public policy at your university. And that is the route that I've planned for myself in your life. And by the way, now comes to the last part, which is, in order to show you the interest that I have in this particular route that I've chosen for myself, These are the courses that I've pursued. These are some of the extracurricular activities that I've done. So top down instead of bottom up. So that's your broad first set of activities block, which I call your long-term objectives and your short-term objectives. The second one is painstaking. It's what I broadly club into what I call activities. And this is about 40% of your application. So don't underestimate this activities business, okay? Those of you, especially who are in 9th and 10th grade, take this gem from me, if nothing else, for yourselves. I'm saying gem because I know it is one. Get data keeping started now. All the activities that you've done. How many hours did you spend in 9th grade? How many hours per week? How many weeks per year? How many total hours? All of this is going to be required when you apply for college. That is a time when it's extremely painful to be thinking back 3 years. My goodness, yeah, I know I did this, but I don't know how many hours I spent. And already it's a stressful period and things start to get tense. Figure all this stuff out now. Get the data keeping done now. And prepare what I call internal resumes for the common application, which is going to be used for a bunch of colleges. Prepare what I call the internal resume for the California or the UC application. Prepare that for what I call the Texas application. And you just realize as I'm talking through, some of you may be thinking, but hey, did he mention common application? Hello, news alert, nothing is common, okay? So you have the common application, you have the coalition application, you have the Texas application, you have the California application, you have the Washington application, the MIT application is completely different. It goes on. But broadly speaking, at least prepare well in advance the details of how you showcase your activities in the common application and the UC application, okay? Why do I make a distinction between these? Even the format and the total number of activities you can showcase are different, even just for these two. Forget about the rest even for a minute, okay? In the common application, you can showcase only 10 activities and 5 honors and awards. You cannot exceed 150 characters in which to showcase each activity. In the California application, you got 20, but you got 350 characters in which to showcase it. In the Texas application, you have 34, only 70 characters with which to showcase it, and so on. My point is, painstaking, get this work done as quickly as possible. There's a famous question that's often asked. A guy had 10 hours to cut 10 trees. What did he do for the first 4 hours? Usually, the mathematics inclined student says cut 4 trees. The actual answer, of course, being sharpened his axe. That's this whole activity of the section under activities where you sharpen your axe and get everything ready. The beauty of doing this is this will then, out of this will emerge beautifully what I call an external resume, which then you can present externally to either places that where you're applying for an internship, or even something that you're attaching as an attachment to your school counselor, where you craft a nice email and say, I am taking the liberty to attach my resume. Should you find it of use? What you're hoping is that as most counselors, as most human beings, as you and me will do, if there's something to copy and paste from, we'll copy and paste from it into the recommendation. And what she's copying and pasting are words that you have crafted, you have written to showcase yourself the best way possible, right? Good. So, section 1, objectives. Section 2, activities, and I fleshed these out. So imagine, list all these things out. Hey, I got to do the common app. I got to do the California app. I got to do the Texas app. I recommend doing the Texas app because I said 34 activities. It's beautifully partitioned. You know, you have like 8 community service, 8 internships, I don't know, 10 extracurricular activities, and so on. But because of the fact that you're forced to squeeze in a description in just 70 characters, it makes for a beautiful external resume, say for internships. Quick, concise, brief bullets under each. Because there is a tendency to write theses on this. But what doing the Texas app also shows you, it will show you the gaps in your resume. And then in this activities section, start looking for activities to beef up your resume. Okay? So I hope I'm making sense. I know I'm trying to cover a lot of things in a very short period of time. I mean, each of these topics in itself is about an hour, but I'm trying to add maximum value to if you like, all of you. So once you've done all of these activities, there's also something general that I want to pass as a message to the kids out there, right? Yes, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th period is tough when it comes to the college applications game. Unfortunately, you could have won the Nobel Prize in 8th grade. Nobody cares. They only want data from 9th grade onwards. This is it. This is the game. You may not like it, but that's the game, right? But I got a broad message for you guys. Be kids also. Enjoy life. In other words, do the activities that your heart would like you to do. It doesn't matter if it doesn't really fit into the grand scheme of things. If you enjoy doing something, do it. Okay. But also be mentally prepared to do some activities that are going to be geared towards beefing up your resume. I'll give you another example. I'll give you an example of my own son, in fact. He wanted to do hotel management. He managed to get into one of the best schools for that in the world. But broadly speaking, here was a story in the application. That's what I want to do. I ultimately want to pursue a career in hospitality. By the way, in 9th grade, I worked as a waiter in a small restaurant next to my house. In 10th grade, I did food and beverages at Hilton. In 11th grade, I worked at a resort where I had etc., etc., etc. The point being, the story needs to make sense. And my other message around this block on activities is consistency is more important than intensity. Don't suddenly squeeze in 11th grade a lot of different community service activities. Try to be as consistent as possible, as opposed to intensely squeezing in activities. Now, some of you may think, goodness, he's saying that, but an internship is just an intense one-off time. Yeah, that's right. Don't worry about those things. There are some things that are obviously one-time things. But somebody, for example, let's say has pursued the violin and has done it 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. That is viewed better than mysteriously, all of a sudden, music appears in 12th grade. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, some of you who are in 11th grade already in the throes of application, who may not have been used to this great grand system and are suddenly figuring out, my goodness, I got to do some stuff. Hey, life is tough. Do what you can. Okay. But I'm talking about those in 9th, 10th grade. Now is the time to think of beefing up this section. Okay, good. Enough said about activities. Man, I could go on. I told you each block I could just go on as long as.
That might be just a good place for me to interject and give you the poll results.
Yeah.
I think we've got about 30 people who filled out the poll, and 30% in the 9th grade, 37 in the 10th grade, and 33% in the.
Approximately, when I saw that, that's what. Very nice.
So your starting assumption was roughly spot on.
Good. So the third block is what I call SAT and ACT related activities. Okay. So you got to prepare for the SAT. You got to give the SAT. And then I have an interesting section where I say, after you give the SAT, have a serious consideration whether ACT is required or not. What do I mean by that? So first of all, in case the way I prepared this talk is, I prepared this talk trying to cover as many questions as you guys might have had, okay? So for those who are thinking, what is he talking about? SAT is not necessary, it's not a requirement. I agree. The colleges are saying SAT perhaps not required. We are SAT blind, etc. But I put you in the position of being the selector, and you got the last spot left. You got 2 resumes in front of you. Both are plus minus the same. One student has submitted the SAT, one student hasn't. Which one will you pick? That's the point, right? In general, please try to read the word OPTIONAL as MANDATORY. Wherever you see optional, please try to read mandatory. Your application is going to look that much better, okay? Now, going back to what I was saying. So prepare for the SAT, give the SAT. Now, the SAT is very interesting in that it has a math score and it has an English score, broadly, okay? I don't like to broad brush, but in general, in my experience, about 15 years of helping students, in general, I find that the Indian American kids tend to be pulled down by the English and their math scores tend to be quite good, in general, okay? This is not, like I said, I don't like to broad brush, but this is what I've seen from my experience. Now, if this discrepancy is too much, it shows in the SAT score because you're giving both. If the discrepancy is too much, you may want to perhaps consider giving the ACT because the ACT is just one score. it masks any standard deviation between the two. Okay? Something to think about. Okay, so that's in and around the SAT and the ACT. And most of you know, but for those that don't, you can super score the SAT. By that I mean you can give your best math score. Supposing you've taken it 3 times, you can pick your best math score, and let's say that will happen to be in your 3rd test, and combine it with your best English score, even though that happened to be, let's say, in your 1st test. Okay, that's what is known as the super score. Good. So that's the 3rd block. So we talked about objectives as the 1st block. I fleshed that out. We talked about activities. I really fleshed that out. We talked about SAT, ACT related. The next big block is what I call your college selection strategy. This is very important. First, I recommend students develop just your list of colleges. Base it on what your heart tells you, feeling, thought. It doesn't matter. Just develop your list of colleges. Then you can do the next level of research and say, hey, I want to pursue this particular course, which is based on, remember, your long-term objective, right? And then you can Google, you get your research done. You might discover some colleges that you hadn't heard of before. Develop a nice list of, I would say, 20, 25 colleges. Then get yourself a nice data sheet going on this one. Research each and every one in terms of acceptance rate, SAT rate, whether it offers the specific degree you're looking for or not, the cost, anything that may be individual specific for you. I give you an example of a student that I had. Please exclude all Northeastern schools. I cannot handle the cold. I cannot study in the cold. Okay, might sound funny, but it was true, and we just excluded all Northeastern schools because they were too cold. I can't function in the cold. Okay. There could be other cases where this generally tends to happen sometimes for female students. Not so sure about the safety record of that place or whatever. Okay, so have a column for your own personal thoughts. At the end of the day, you're going to spend 4 years there. Once you prepare that sheet, and then you color code that based on acceptance rate, SAT scores, and so on, and get yourself a nice optimal mix between dreaming, targeting, and some safety colleges, that sheet is going to start singing music to you. And it's going to tell you that, okay, that's going to be my final list of colleges. Okay, so unfortunately, we are not face-to-face with each other, but just for fun, I like to do an exercise. Just do it with me mentally, all of you, the students especially. Think of any 5 foods that you love to eat. This age, at least at me, at your age, I would love to eat. Food wouldn't last too long on the table. So imagine and just think of any 5 foods that are your favorite foods. Give you a little time to do a little bit of think through that. In general, I found when I do this exercise, nowadays, strangely, pasta comes quite high up there, and pizzas come quite high up there, and burgers come quite high up there. Occasionally, some will migrate into the more honest territory and say biryani, or even curd rice has come into the picture at certain times. Okay, but whatever they may be, imagine 5 foods that you love to eat. Good. Now imagine that one particular day you haven't had breakfast. Something happened. And strangely, that particular day you didn't have lunch either. But then you remember you were invited at my place for an early dinner, kind of a high tea at about 4:30. You say, yeah, that's good. I'm going to go. And you go in, come into my house. There's a buffet and it's got exactly those 5 dishes, which are your favorite. You say, wow, this is fantastic. You grab a plate, you're about to start eating. I say, hang on, there's a small rule. I say, what is that? Sunday, I'm hungry. I say, yeah, I promise you. My promise is you will not leave hungry. But the rule is, if you touch one dish, you can only eat that dish all night long. You can't touch any other dish. Say, oh my goodness, what kind of a buffet is this? That, my dear friends, is the college applications game. Never forget, at the end of the day, you can only attend one college. You might put a buffet out there of 25, 30, 40. Don't start getting ridiculous. And with Indian American parents, especially, I've found that they do tend to get ridiculous, okay? A good number is about 14 to 15 colleges. So the college selection strategy is very important, okay? Then you've got this list of colleges. Let's say it's boiled down to about 14 to 16. Now it's very important to have what I call the ED, REA, RD discussion. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, the ED stands for early decision. EA stands for early admissions. The REA stands for restrictive early admission. And the RD stands for regular decisions. Some colleges offer early decision, some don't. Some offer early action, some don't. Some insist on only offering restrictive early action. That's why when I went back, when you do the research, every single of these has a line item. Does it offer early decision? What is the acceptance rate? That's what I meant by that research, okay? So what is early decision? Early decision means we, the college, will decide early whether to take you or not. And if we decide to take you, you must join our college. You have to withdraw your application from everybody else. That's what early decision means. Yes, it increases the probability of you getting into my college. But remember, if you happen to get another college, which you may consider better, life is tough, you have to withdraw your application from everybody else. Early action, on the other hand, is non-binding. The college acts early to decide and give you the admission, but you may still opt to choose another college. That's early action. Regular decision, as the name suggests, is regular decision. And then you have a peculiar animal called the restrictive early action, which, while is not binding, it precludes you from applying early decision or early action to any other college. Once you have all these discussions, then your college selection is done, and it's done in a methodical, thought-out, process-heavy, organized fashion. Then you can start the next block of activities, which everybody starts jumping on first, which is what I call the essay writing. You cannot start writing your essays until you know which essays to write. It's kind of basic. You don't know which essays you have to write unless you know which college you're applying for and figure out what essays each college wants. Remember, I told you nothing is common. Each college has, even if it's the common application, has completely separate essays. The only saving grace is the California applications, which has 4 essays, standard application, and then you can just checkbox all the California system colleges that you want to apply for. That's the most common, inverted commas, common that there is. Okay, but for most other colleges, it's not common. Then I would typically say strategize the essays. Strategizing the essay is very important. How am I going to write it? What is the thought process? And now I go back to the activities that you had previously in that roadmap. By trying to showcase each activity carefully and talking about yourself, and for example, was part of the robotics club, just making this up, or leadership role in the robotics club, mentored students, and took team to first place in FRC competition. Is a completely different phrasing of the same activity. But now it starts to give you useful phrases and things that connect with some of the essay topics that you have to write. A topic could be, give us an example of your leadership. Give us an example of a challenge you faced that you handled, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So that's the next block. So recap. First block in your roadmap, objectives. Second was activities. Third was SAT, ACT related. Fourth was the college selection strategy. Fifth was the essays. Sixth is what I call others, and there are a couple of things in there. One is the college visits. Try and visit as many colleges as possible. I know it's tough because there's so many things to do. You have only the summer to do it, but try as the best you can to visit as many colleges as possible. Worst case, at least try to do a virtual tour. There are 3 advantages you get by visiting colleges. Number 1, there are some colleges that actually have a mark or so for students that have expressed interest by actually visiting our college. So don't lose that. Number 2, I have seen huge decisions being made on the basis of a college visit. Decisions which are, Dad, I never want to go to this college. Please knock this off my list. Guess what? One visit has avoided 4 years of misery. Right? Or the reverse. I never knew this college was so good. I really loved it there. I really want to go out of my way to apply very strongly for this. That's the second reason. The third reason is it's beautiful how it reflects in your essays. I'm going to make this up on the spot, but just to give you an idea. Walking along the bougainvillea path of St. Peter's Street in your college, I felt at home. Now, you cannot be writing an essay about walking down the bougainvillea path of St. Peter's Street if you haven't actually walked there and can think about it, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. So that's one of the activities under others. And the other ones, of course, are, identifying the right teachers to write your recommendations, preparing that external resume, which you send to them, so on and so forth. So that's the other block. The last block of activities is what I call post-application activities. And there are two key ones. One is interviews, preparation for interviews. Because a lot of colleges, especially with these AIs, a lot of colleges already used to take interviews prior to final selection. But with all this AI intervention and all this stuff, the interviews have got that much more of there's that much more of impetus on interviews, okay? So that's one. And the last, what I call in post-application activities, is the application for merit scholarships. I'm saying merit scholarships specifically because most of the audience in this group, I'm making the assumption, well within top 5%, top 10% of the US in terms of earnings. I would say don't even think about applying for scholarships on financial aid basis. You're probably going to waste your time, not get it. But there are a lot of applications that are available for merit-based scholarships. In fact, our very own PanIIT offers one of these scholarships. There's a Coca-Cola scholarship, Intel scholarship. There are lots of scholarships offered on merit. So now, recapping the blocks, the objectives, the activities, the SAT, ACT related, college selection strategy, essays, others, and post-application, the 7. Flesh each one out into individual activities for yourself. Put them on a roadmap. Remember, for those students that are going to be going to college next year, that deadline is October 31st, 2026. Sorry, 2025. Okay? So, the last line in this roadmap that I just presented, which is applications finished, should be on October 25. Now work backwards. Fill in all the stuff on the roadmap, all the rest of the stuff you need to do. Keep going line by line, month by month, and you know which activities you need to complete, because all of this is going to be part of your journey. Okay? With that, I'll give an overall message, which is what I wanted to construct my talk around today, which was something that I learned from a good friend of mine from IIT. It's his words, so I don't want to steal them without giving him credit. 6 words, very important words. Plan your work, then work your plan. With that, I've finished the section of what I wanted to talk about. I think I constructed it such that I wanted to give a lot of time for questions. I hope I covered most of the questions that I thought were going to be asked. But Rajesh, the floor is open to the audience. I'm delighted to take questions.
Thank you, Sundi. Your 7-block framework is a nice pathway. So really appreciate it. And I think the audience may agree with me. The fact that you just kind of recap them 1, 2, 3, 4 as you went through each one of them was actually better than doing slides. But the audience often tends to get a little lazy sometimes with slides. And this had better retention for all of us as we looked at it. But excellent framework, it looks like it. It looks like we have a good mix of folks from 9th, 10th, and the 11th grade. So clearly, having the full roadmap and the long view towards these things is an excellent approach. But let me just kind of hit the guys with the most urgency, the 11th grader.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of jumbling it up. I mean, in here, can an 11th grader in July of 2025, when you've got to meet the October 30 deadlines, or she still in a position to work through the 7 steps? Or do you have to kind of just short circuit and go through it like that?
No, good question. So it's a mixture between amount of work to be done. The amount of back up. The steps that I outlined in my process all need to be done. No question. You got to get them done. There's no way out of it. Okay. If you need to get them done with the level of quality that is required in order to put your best foot forward, yes, you need a certain amount of time. Okay.
Think early.
Now,
Eighth grade,
so,
ninth grade.
at the same time, you want to maximize and optimize your chances of selection. There are certain psychological aspects of your peers are going to start, hey, I got into this college, I got into that college. It's a very uncomfortable situation when your peers start getting into colleges. You still haven't got a college secure, you know. Why am I going with that is, and the October 31st deadline that I put is a very tight deadline, because usually the early action deadline is November 1st. If you can't, and you still, my goodness, I started too late, the regular decision is January and February. So you still have 2 more months. It's not as if you're dead in the water if you don't finish by October 31st.
That's a very good point. That's a very good. So what you're saying is that there's still a fair bit of room for you to be in the game between November and January.
Correct. But then you have to play it such a way that, hey, these are some of my top choice colleges. Let me at least get these done for an early action deadline. Mm-hmm. Some of these I can afford to let slip. Guess where this data comes from? It's in that data that I said you do for each college. Every single college has all of these. Again, I'll just quickly, for my top of my head, you have college. You will have what type of application? Is it Common App, Texas App, California App, whatever that may be? It will have, does it have early decision? Does it have early action? Does it have regular decision? What are the dates? What is the cost? What is the acceptance rate? What is the general SAT acceptance rate? Are there any individual specific things for me about this college that is important or not? I have a column there for essay notes. As you're researching the college, something may hit you. This college offers a dual degree. Oh, good. Okay, let me put this down in my essay notes. When I come back to it, I shouldn't forget to write about this in my essays. I like your college. Why do you like my college? Oh, because it offers a dual degree. Things like that. Okay? Then we move forward. I hope I answered that question. So it's not as if you're dead in the water.
Thank you, Cindy.
But I put up. Go ahead. Any other question?
I mean, one of the things that I would take away from there, because a lot of this is about confidence and attitude.
Right.
I mean, you talked about make a plan and work your plan. So having a plan is always good, even if you are not exactly as early to the game as you would have liked to be. But you are where you are. Meet the challenge facing forward, make a plan, and work that plan.
Correct.
So, and there's lots of understanding the process helps you kind of work the little mechanisms, simply understanding how to prioritize your schools, which one's got the different deadlines, the window between November and January, and so on and so forth, all those kind of things. Okay.
Absolutely well said. Yeah.
I've got a question from the first block. So as they say in The Sound of Music, let's start at the very beginning.
Right, right.
So do you have a structure or a process for identifying your objectives? And you mentioned go top down and develop clarity on where you want to be long term.
Okay. So usually at that age, it is not that easy to have this crystal clear clarity of, my goodness, this is what I want to do in life. Honestly, if I were to look back on myself, forget about looking back. I still don't really know what the hell I want to do in life. Okay. I'm still being kind of muddling around. No, but okay. Humor apart, right? But it's good to think about it, because if that clarity emerges, it makes the college application process that much easier, because you can focus yourself, focus your activities, focus your thought process. Everything is towards the goal. If an essay, for example, starts is, I aspire to be X, Y, and Z in my career, and this, etc., it just makes things a lot more powerful from that perspective. At the same time, I fully recognize that at that age, sometimes you're just experimenting. But if that's the case, and that clarity comes in your head that, yes, I am still experimenting, frame yourself like that. I am experimenting today. It's okay. That is still powerful because it's honest, it shows introspection, and it shows thought. And not just willy-nilly, right? Example, I give you, I know it may sound cheesy, but just as an example. As a true engineer, I want to experiment in various different things before I decide which engineering I want to pick, assuming that engineering.
But do you have something like, I mean, you coach people through the college application process.
Yeah.
Do you have something like a framework that you would
give? This comes from within the heart.
Like, for example, I was a strategy consultant for 20 years. You go to a company, their certain departments are not clear about where they want to be in 5 years. You have a structured approach by which we ask them, oh, what do you want your product to be like in this? Do you want to have electric vehicles, or do you want something else? And so we take them to a structured process. Is there something that a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old can employ in order to kind of sift through things and not really think, oh yeah, I want to be Taylor Swift, or I want to be a firefighter? I mean, or say like, okay, or I just do what my dad does, so I don't want to ever become an accountant.
Okay. No, fair enough. So in this particular thing, it's tricky. It's almost, and I'm going to indulge in a bit of humor perhaps, and someone says, hey, you know what? I definitely don't want an arranged marriage. I want to have a love marriage. Can you give me a strategy consulting on how to fall in love? It's not easy, right? So it's one of those things that happens or it doesn't happen. However, you can still be smart and say, well, you know what? Start attending more events. Go and network more. You might meet more people, and you increase your probability of falling in love. I'm giving an analogy, right? So similarly,
how about the career counseling options then, and the aptitude testing options that many high schools offer? I think large public school systems offer those kind of things.
They do, and I at the risk of upsetting people who believe in them, I personally don't believe in them. Honestly, I don't. So I'm just saying, as I don't really believe, because a lot of it comes from within. But what I encourage people in high school to do is, if they're not sure as to what they want to do, is to truly experiment. I don't know if the school has a mock trial or jury, experiment in the see what legal profession looks like. If there is an opportunity for an internship to study what generally engineers do, look at that. If there's an opportunity to volunteer at a hospital, go do it. That's the age to experiment and try to figure out what is it that is piquing my interest. And you'll be amazed when you do things like that, what kind of results you wind up getting. I mean, there's this kid of mine who's a kid of mine, not my kid, but one of the kids that I helped who went onwards to MIT. Just by volunteering at a hospital, suddenly there came this business of interjecting IT into being able to read MRIs better. You see that even though he has a technical interest, it happened because he showed up. So I guess my only thing would be to say, show up. There is no, I know engineers look for a structured
find what lights a spark in your young person.
And that's difficult to say and say, hey, you follow this methodology, it's going to happen. I cannot say that.
If you find that spark, catch it like a firefly and try to bottle that spirit and then write it out in an essay, which is your step 6, basically.
Damn, I didn't know you were a poet. Bottling fireflies, my goodness. Okay.
Let me just kind of, we're getting an interesting group of questions coming in. Let me just kind of jump a little bit over to your college selection strategy.
Okay.
And there was a question about, give us a kind of a broad picture on evaluating public institutions versus private institutions.
Okay.
I will add something to what the questioner asked. What's your point of view on brand name, like top 10, top 5 schools, your MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Ivies as their
Yeah.
and a lot of people here are probably from the Indian American diaspora, and we are very, very brand conscious on
Yeah.
coming from India. At least the parents are. I mean, we all had the pecking order on IITs and the non-IITs and so on and so forth. But give us a point of view on how does a family think through private institution? If you're in Virginia, you've got a great public school, a public
Right.
university like University of Virginia, or should I go to Yale? And and different questions like that, and also top 10 institution versus or a top 5 institution versus, I mean, a very solid number 15, number 20 kind of university. How
Okay.
do you help them think through that?
Okay. So the big picture, top level, 30,000 foot strategic answer in general, what I say is the best option for the child as opposed to the best rated. Big picture, right? But let me flesh out perhaps some of the conflicting, some of the thoughts may be a bit conflicting, but let me just say what's in my mind, what's been my experience, and so on. So the first thing is the parents need to go out from this mode of treating their kid like a high school kid. What is a good high school kid? A high school kid is somebody who follows, a good high school kid who follows directions and delivers on time. There's nothing about decision making anywhere in that process, right? So encourage him to make, if you like, some of the own decisions. Be very honest with yourself. So, for example, if you like and thrive in a competitive environment, some of these Ivy League may be good options to try for. They are, ruthlessly, some of them, competitive environment. And I'm not necessarily saying that's bad. That could be a great fit for you. Maybe that's your style, right? If you truly are a person who enjoys a more collaborative environment, maybe a second tier or certain Ivy League schools, which foster more the collaboration as opposed to fierce cutthroat competition, is the right thing for you. Remember, it's your 4 years. It's not your parents' 4 years. It's not my 4 years. It's your 4 years. I'm talking to the students now directly. You have to decide. You take the decisions, and you then, I don't want to say bear the consequences, reap the fruits of your own decisions. That is more important for me, selection, than any kind of, if you like, rating per se. Right? Having said that, what makes up a great college experience is not sometimes necessarily just the academics. I'm going back to our own IITs as an example, right? It's that coterie, that menagerie, that group of people you spent your 4 or 5 years. I spent 5 years, but the 4 years with. Good people tend to come to that institute. You spend your 4 years in the company of and forming the network of good people. So from that perspective, an Ivy League in general can be good from that perspective. I know I'm giving conflicting thoughts, right?
Your number 6 block, is the college visit a good place to gauge whether these are your kind of people?
You can definitely gauge the first aspect of the competitive collaborative aspect. The guys are going to be good in general in an Ivy League. That's kind of a given, right? And even in your second, third year, as an example, I tell you, there are 2 colleges, in my opinion. I know I'm from Texas. Maybe you think I'm speaking about Texas only, but I'll give you 2 examples of Texas that are definitely Ivy League, in my opinion, without the Ivy. UD Austin, Rice University. I'm giving you a public college and a private college because to address both those aspects. So it's difficult to draw a clear bifurcation, say public one style, private one style. Not necessarily. I just gave you an example within Texas of very sought after schools. I mean, people from California are desperate, man. If I get UT Austin Computer Science or UT, it's a phenomenal college. Right? It's a public college. Rice University.
Would you consider that in that college selection strategy? If I were to pivot to the first point that you said, which is focus on the student, who are you? What makes you who you are. I mean, 17, 18 is a time when a lot of you is probably still somewhere in a metamorphosis stage.
Right.
And people have different levels of maturity. So, do you kind of recommend a significant part of that college selection be based on understanding yourself? What do you need in support systems? What does that student need? I mean,
Yeah.
the family and the student are the best judges of that. Don't go by the US News ranking simply because, and go to a school which is 2,000 miles away across the country where you have no support systems, if
Right.
support systems are important to you,
Right.
or
So,
something else, and so on and so forth.
so one point is that, but there's another point of what I call pragmatism, right? So when you prepare that college essay sheet, the college selection sheet, what I call it,
Mhm.
and I said it's going to start singing to you, it's going to start talking to you. Believe me, it really is. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a SAT score of 1450. You tried 3 times, 1450, 1460. Yes, you're very interested in engineering. You've got some phenomenal work under your belt. You are not going to make it to the MIT. You know that from the data that you've collected. You know what their typical cutoffs is for a SAT. You know what the acceptance rate is. I'm not saying don't apply for it, but it will generate for you that is probably not a college that I want to be applying for. Not because you don't want to, not because you're not got an aptitude for it. Pragmatism also dictates that. So one part of it is knowing yourself and so on. But there's an assumption there that now it's only my choice. I can choose whichever I've got. Not necessarily. Colleges also have a choice. You have to blend the two and come up with your optimal strategies, where I was going.
Can I push back a little bit on
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. Please, please.
I mean, unlike in India or something where, let's say, even in our time, many universities admissions was purely based on your grades.
Mhm,
There were
mhm.
certain RECs, and there were certain very top institutions like BITS Pilani, where it was purely based. So if you didn't have the equivalent of something like a 3.5 GPA,
Right.
don't even bother to apply. That I can understand the pragmatism.
Mhm.
But the American system is supposed to be broader, more holistic. It's
Right.
not. So why are you talking yourself out of an option in a world where we tell a child you can be everything that you can be? I mean,
No,
grow your
fair, Rajesh. Okay. So all I was saying there was, to be pragmatic, the probability of you getting in, given what you have, is low. It doesn't preclude you from applying. My last and third point was going to be the famous Canadian ice hockey player's quote, which is, you are 100% going to miss all the shots you don't take.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm not necessarily saying don't apply, but be pragmatic enough and don't bank your whole application on that. Look at what the sheet is telling you also and be pragmatic. That's the whole point I'm trying to make, right?
So is there? Do you subscribe to that the logic of having some stretch schools where you're really pushing, you're taking a Hail Mary pass
Yeah.
at some schools. Then
So yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
you
So
have your
I get
solid
your question.
schools,
So
and then you have your safeties, so to say.
right.
So you have a realistic assessment, but don't hesitate to take the big shots.
Yeah.
Because
So
back to
yeah,
Gretzky, whoever said, no points on the board for shots not taken.
yeah, I fully agree. I hate to try to give it something generic because people then tend to take notes and say, okay, this is the generic. But remember that each student's case is different. Given that, broadly speaking, I'll try to give as generic an answer as possible. But please remember, your numbers may be different. Okay. In general, I would say 3 in the category of what I call extreme dream or dream. Maybe 4. No more. A good 5 or 6 in what I call targets. Let me take an example of an engineering, because we are IIT, so I'll take engineering as an example. in the targets generally could be good schools like UT Austin, UMich, Georgia Tech, so on and so forth. The Ivy Leagues and the dreams we all know will be the MITs, the Princetons, and all that good stuff. Then at least have 3 or 4 what I call strong safety schools, where the data is showing you that the probability of getting in is greater than 50-60%. The reason for that is you don't want to be in a situation where you have one particular bad year. What do I mean by a bad year? It suddenly becomes a bloodbath. Getting into college becomes impossible that particular year for a variety of different reasons. It's the number of students applying and so on. And you've been too arrogant and you wind up not having any college to go to. That's one part of it. The second part of it is back to the psychology of what I was telling you. It's good among your peers, at least you got college in your pocket. What happens with that is sometimes you get these results early. Then you're still writing essays for the other college. The confidence with which you write the next essays also goes up. I've already got a college in my back pocket. There's a certain, if you go back to our own time, when you give a second interview after already having got a job, that interview just goes much better. You just go with a lot more confidence, right? Because you have leverage. So that broadly, I would say around the 14-15 mark, remembering the buffet. Right? Not putting too much.
I've got a question here, Sundi,
Please.
on activities.
Okay.
Do you have thoughts on helping the family and the student think through coherence on the activities? Should you pick one and dive deep into it, or versus providing a more balanced picture? I'm in Model UN, but I also play lawn tennis. I'm not the state champion in either one, but I do both of them. Or should I give a sense on how to, a framework of thoughts on how to organize your activities. And probably this is a skill that most of these people will keep. We have to constantly think when we rewrite our resume, what do we do? What's the things that we want to highlight? What's our profile, so to say?
No, very good. Great question. So just think back to what I said about the Texas application, just for a minute. Okay. The student is allowed to showcase 34 activities. Just think about it from now, the expectation side on the other side. The expectation in this game, if I may use the word game, is a lot of activities well-rounded. Whether it be right or wrong, I'm not going to discuss that even. If you're playing the game of chess, you might have a very strong reason why the bishop should not move diagonally. Doesn't matter. That's the rules of the game. Okay. So if you're playing the game of chess, you got to move that bishop diagonally. So in general, the expectation is a lot of activities. But the activities are also viewed as I said, consistency more than intensity. Let me dive a little bit deeper into the question. Right? As much as possible, activities geared towards the undergraduate degree that the student is applying for, which is geared towards the ultimate goal of the person. Example, somebody whose ultimate goal is to be a doctor and applying for some degree in the beginning, he shows a lot of volunteering in hospitals, this, that, and the other. Somebody's applying for engineering, shows a bunch of internships, whether they be paid or not, a research paper here, done some proactive self-study courses, etc., etc., etc. Those are the type of activities. Parents, those who are listening, please get involved. The 9th to the 12th, this high school period in the US can get very stressful. The earlier you start, the better. Get involved with helping your kid in terms of data collection. Kids sometimes don't have good memories of all the activities that they've done. Figure all that stuff out, help them out with a lot of that stuff. Those of you who are working, use your networks. Try to get the kid internships using your networks. It can be even shadowing somebody, whatever, doesn't matter. Showcase that you've done some activities towards whatever goal you want to show in college. The competition is fierce. Your competition today, just to give you an idea, somebody who's applying for aeronautics or aerospace is probably taking flying lessons. People who are applying for engineering colleges in the top colleges have written research papers with professors, which are published as peer-reviewed in peer-reviewed journals. That is the level of ridiculous. I'm sorry to use the word ridiculous, but this is what I personally believe. Ridiculous levels to which this is being taken right now. Competition is fierce. I'm delving a little bit deeper into activities, right? I personally don't believe that students should be put under this much pressure, but I'm telling you, that's the game. That's how it's played. I often hear this famous story about the sandbanks or the sandbags on the banks of the Mississippi. So people on this side of the Mississippi looked on the other side and said, the guys have put 2 layers of sandbags. So there's flooding. All I need to do is put 3. Then the other side puts 4, and so on, until there's sandbags everywhere. Okay, so that's what's going on with the college applications game also. Sorry, I hope I answered that question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Bottom line, what I'm hearing you say is think deeply, that introspection process right in step 1. Who are you? Where do you want to go? And why you want to go? And the linkage between the things that make you, the activities and the things that make you who you are. That's what really should come together.
Yeah. And then the activities can be, be creative, maybe use your parents, friends to get, like I said, internships. There are websites like Udemy and Coursera where you can do courses and say, hey, look, I proactively studied X, Y, and Z during my off time. If you're a builder and like to build things, build stuff. If you happen to have an idea about something interesting, patent it. Doesn't matter if you want to use the patent or not. Imagine in your resume, applied for patent for blah, blah, blah. It's powerful, right? The whole idea is to showcase yourself, differentiate yourself over the next student, right? There are so many ideas around activities. I mean, activities itself, I can go on for about an hour. If for any reason there's another session wanted with more questions, I'll be happy to take it. But let's take the next question. Thanks, Raj.
Do you have thoughts on how students should kind of deal with activities or their profile if the school that they're coming from does not quite have the type of activities that match? Let's say you're STEM focused and your school doesn't have a robotics program,
right,
or the classic things that, like, oh, you don't do math counts or whatever it is. What do you do? I mean,
yeah. So I've had a lot of cases like that. Okay. And those cases wound up being better than if the school had a program. Let me explain why. Imagine the kid's resume now says, founded the robotics club in the school. Did not have one, but I founded it. Okay. And imagine the essay that maybe you don't achieve great success with it, but I guarantee you're going to find 3 or 4 students in there. Now it's literally like starting your own startup. Now it's much more powerful than member of the robotics club, right? If you're really passionate about something, start your own. Somebody started it. Why not you? Right? I mean, easier said than done. I understand.
Very good. Again, cycles back to the point about finding your passion.
Yeah.
And I've heard this term recently from friends of mine who've had kids going through a college application process recently, and some of the coaches, the hook. What is your hook?
Yeah.
And do you have a particular unique selling point? You were talking about the sandbags, the arms race going on this. So in that situation, I mean, it's not more sandbags. It's you got to find what's your hook. So passion is clearly one, and being authentic about it. But do you also suggest finding somebody, like if everybody is playing lawn tennis and playing the a standard instrument like on the band, do you say, like, I do the ukulele and I did a garage band on that, and look for something that is slightly off to the side and try to stand out?
Yeah, at the same time, Rajesh, I'm not suggesting going overboard on everything. Okay, you happen to play the ukulele, that can be among others. I'm talking about in terms of some of your core activities which are geared towards what you're applying for in college. Those activities. The rest, there are some others that's showing your well-roundedness. It's okay. You don't have to start looking for ridiculous differentiation in everything. But if you can, in some areas where it's focused on your undergraduate degree, that might be very useful and interesting.
Sundi, I'm going to cycle through a few more kind of
Please.
Kind of areas because
Now,
there
in fact, I tried to finish early so that I could take more questions, right?
Absolutely. We've got a good set of questions coming. I mean, let me just go off a little bit to a different angle. I mean, most of our questions have been, or discussion have been about how do you kind of get to the top school and how do you get to the top of the mountain and distinguish yourself and all those things. But there is a school of people who will say, like, if you know what you want, there are multiple paths to get there. And for various reasons, it may make sense for some young people to take a community college route to, a 2-year associate's degree first when you come out of high school, then kind of build up your resume, then head your way towards the bigger institution, either in your state, and then masters maybe at Harvard or whatever it is, if that's the field. Because eventually it's what have you built up over a 6-year kind of a horizon. There's a path to it. Do you have a point of view on guiding people who may be considering community college for various reasons? I mean,
I got it.
I mean, some kids sometimes just like something's happened. I mean, your GPA in 9th grade is 3.2 or 2.8. Can't change that now.
So in fairness, I'm good at what I'm good at. I'm not good at what I'm not good at. So the community college route is not something that I'll be able to offer very good expert advice on. So I'd stay away from that. But even in the case of a low GPA or whatever, there's a plethora of colleges in the United States that you can apply to. And you can do so well in your first year, you can always consider a change even after the first year. There are so many other routes. But the community college route is not something that I've explored, so I won't be able to offer too much value on it.
Okay. I have one question here, which I've got to admit I don't fully understand because the question is, should one go for early decision with DRAM college? I don't understand what DRAM college is. Maybe you do.
No, what is DRAM?
I'm wondering whether it is theater or something like that, but I don't understand.
Is it drama? Is it drama?
Yeah,
is it...
I'm just wondering. Okay, but maybe.
But whoever in the audience asked that question, you can perhaps re-ask it again. Is DRAM an acronym?
Yeah. But maybe
somebody raised his hand.
Just talk about early decision.
Hold on. Dhananjay has raised his hand. Maybe he's the one who also asked the question.
We'll let it come through, Sundi.
Okay, good. Got it. Okay, keep going.
But you could take a minute to say under what circumstances amongst the students that you've advised did you ask them to go for an early decision?
Okay. That's a great question. Okay, good.
It's a very unbalanced negotiating situation. You and I went to MBA school. In MBA school, one of the most popular classes is negotiations.
Right.
In negotiations, you've got to read your objectives, your best alternatives, all those. But you never really want to kind of give a unilateral decision to the other side and say, you decide what it is, that is my fate. It seems to be a very unbalanced kind of, you're giving away all your power. Why?
No, not necessarily. So let me explain. So typically, and this again comes when you do the research on your college sheet. I keep going back to that college sheet, right? But typically what you'll find is when you have a column which says acceptance rate, you have another column for early decision acceptance rate.
Mm-hmm.
The acceptance rate is usually 1.6 times or double or sometimes 2.3 times more by applying early decision than by applying normal. That's the advantage of applying early decision.
But I'm going to push back on it, Sandy.
It's a
Tell
fact.
me,
You can push
I
back,
mean,
but it's
why?
a fact.
Why would I give away? I am going through this application process
Right.
as a student so
Right.
that I have options. That's
Right.
why I made 15 schools.
I agree.
I classified them A, B, and C based
Right.
on various categories.
Yeah, but you got to let me finish. You got to let me finish.
I
You got to let
give
me
away
finish.
power to somebody else. I
Okay.
mean, it's like, I mean, high school students know it all the time. I mean, just because you tell the prettiest girl or the prettiest boy that, like, I like you the most, doesn't
Right.
mean that he or she is going to choose you.
Okay. But hear me out. For some students, it could be that one particular college is the college of their dreams. If I get that college, I don't care about any other college. Could be.
You are absolutely
In my
okay.
own son's case, it was the case. For example,
Okay.
for him, it was Cornell. He applied early decision to Cornell. He got in, didn't bother about any of the other applications. That's what he wanted. I had another student
So
that
you're
I had.
saying that, like, if the girl likes you, and
That's
you
it.
should have no hesitation
That's it.
in kind of having said that, like, that's where you want to go. Okay.
And
You're
in
not
case
just involuntarily giving up power.
in case you have a situation like that where you have a particular dream college, and that college happens to offer early decision.
But lots could change between October and February. In February,
Usually not. I'll give you an
Yale
example.
could come back and say, "We really love you, Junior Sundi."
Rajesh. Theoretically, you have a point. Practically, you don't. I'll tell you why. Any kid who wants to do engineering, if you tell him, I give you MIT, he's going to say, I don't care about any other college. Okay? Come on. 99% of the case. You agree with me? So that's what I mean. And there are, for example, economics.
That's the logic for ED, basically.
Yeah.
You just know that's your dream school. You're going to go there. If they let you in, I mean, you're willing to stop the process. Okay.
There could be some cases of family, you know. My brother has gone there. I got a lot of family support there. I just want to get into that college. Oh, wow, they're offering early decision. I'm going to take that option too. It increases your probability of success. There are many reasons for it. Okay. But that's typically an early decision deal. Early action is something I recommend for all. Early action, absolutely. And because I recommend early action, I specifically don't recommend restrictive early action. Because restrictive early action precludes you from applying early decision or early action anywhere else. Unless the restrictive early action happens to be your dream school. That's a different story.
Yeah. Sundi, let's do a quick question on AP courses.
Go ahead.
Before, I think the question should be, do you have a thought process on how to strategically take AP courses? Is there an approach? And also, I think in that same bucket, there is a question which I think goes specifically to the UC system. I assume that's the University of California system.
Yeah.
Do they have? Can a student applying to the UCs stand out without AP courses?
Okay.
Depends on whether it's UC Berkeley or some other UC that you want to go to.
So in general, it's not critical to do, it's not mandatory to do AP courses, right? But remember, this whole game is about putting your best foot forward, showcasing yourself to the best possible means. Wherever there is a possibility of showcasing AP courses, you should. It's back to the SAT. A lot of the colleges they say, hey, you don't have to submit your SAT, but if you can, you have a good SAT score, submit it, right? There's only one reason why a student is not submitting a SAT score, right? Because it's probably not good. Right? Or at least that will be the perception. So, broadly speaking, if you can do AP, you should. Is it a must to do it? No. But remember, like I told right in the beginning, read the word optional as mandatory. In general, you're going to be better off because it's a competitive game.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Sunday was the president when I first joined PanIIT USA. And, over the last decade, he's given so much of his time to PanIIT USA. Sunday, that was a wonderful, informative, engaging webinar.
Thank you,
Rajesh,
sir.
you always do a super job. Swati and Amit Arora work in the background to pull all of this stuff together. I noticed that a number of parents joined with their kids. This was the best part of this webinar. Imagine watching all of this with your child who's in high school and how much value you get out of something like this. So everyone who joined in with their kids, thank you so much. You have the right approach to this issue. And it is a significant issue, as Sandy pointed out. It is getting very competitive, and we all wish you the very best on your kids' journey. Sandy, any last words?
Yeah, just
Takeaways for
perhaps you were remiss in not thanking Rajesh. I think he did a great job in handling the questions.
Yes, no, he did. No, but you said something about takeaways for students and parents.
Do you
Oh
have
yeah,
any
okay.
takeaways for
Maybe
parents?
yeah.
and-
That's not a bad thing. Let me do that. So as a final, I would say, let's say I got 5 takeaways for the students and I got 2 takeaways for the parents. Okay. So here are the students' 5 takeaways. Number 1, prepare that roadmap. Plan your work your plan. Okay, that's the first one. Number 2, activities. Get the thinking done early. It's going to be helpful for recommendations. It's going to be helpful in essays. It'll help you put your best foot forward. So number 2 was activities. Takeaway number 3, essays. Karma catches up. Please, no AI. Even if this gentle business of, no, I just used it to get some ideas. Yeah, please stay away from it. It's okay if your fellow student produces a brilliant essay with AI. Doesn't matter. Karma is important. Okay. That's the point I wanted to make about essays. College selection strategy. Remember the buffet. You can only eat one dish. My 4th takeaway. And the last one was what I started with, which is top down, not bottom up. So, reminder of the 5: roadmap, activities, essays, college selection, and top down, not bottom up. Couple of thoughts for parents. Parents, don't get mad with me and say, no, he's going to make it difficult for with my kids, etc. Doesn't matter. Good takeaways for you. Number 1, best option, please, not best rated for the college. Number 2, give the kid the freedom to dream. Let them pursue their dream. I was of a generation where we could not really pursue the dream. The conversation at the dining table was clear. You should become an engineer, you should become a doctor, or you should have your backside kicked. Okay? Very simple 3 choices only given, right? Please, today, give your kid more choices. That's it. With that, I'm done. Thank you, Amita.
Thank you, Sandeep.